66 million years ago, the largest land predator this planet ever produced went extinct. But imagine for a moment that it didn't. Imagine that tomorrow morning, on the savannah of East Africa, something stepped out of the tree line that weighed 9 tons and stood 18 feet tall. This is the file on Tyrannosaurus Rex, and the question nobody asks. Not how it lived, not how it died, whether it could survive here. Now, first, understand what we're putting on the field. Tyrannosaurus Rex measured up to 40 feet from snout to tail. It carried a skull 5 feet long, packed with 60 teeth, some the size of bananas, and built not to slice, but to crush. Its bite generated an estimated 8,000 pounds of force. That is more than any animal alive today, more than a great white, more than a saltwater crocodile, enough to break bone as easily as you break bread. It was not a lumbering monster, it was a precision instrument. Now the arena. Modern Africa is not the world Tyrannosaurus knew. Its home, late Cretaceous North America, was warmer, wetter, thick with humidity and dense with prey. Today's African savanna is drier, hotter in the day, colder at night, and it is already full. Every ecological niche here is occupied. Every water source is contested. There are no vacancies. So we begin with the most basic question of all. A predator of that size needs an enormous amount of meat. Conservative estimates put an adult Tyrannosaurus at around 111 kilograms of food per day. That is roughly a full-grown impala every single day, or 1 buffalo every 3. Africa can supply that. The Serengeti alone moves over 1 million wildebeest in its annual migration, one of the largest concentrations of large-bodied prey anywhere on Earth. On paper, the pantry is stocked, but being able to find food and being able to catch it are two very different problems. Here is where the file gets complicated. For decades, popular culture told us Tyrannosaurus could run fast. Recent biomechanical modeling says otherwise. Analysis of its skeleton suggests that at speeds above roughly 25 kilometers per hour, the forces traveling through its leg bones begin to break them. A 9-ton animal cannot afford to fall, so Tyrannosaurus would walk at a brisk, its roar. A wildebeest is 80s apace, without being Cielovich Parana or Zivintons, roaring to its straight sons to these, so open ground grass Tyrannosaurus loses every time, which is why it wouldn't chase. Everything about this animal points to ambush. Forward-facing eyes delivering exceptional binocular vision, an olfactory bulb so large that its sense of smell likely rivaled a modern vulture's, capable of detecting carrion across kilometers. Tyrannosaurus was built to find the wounded, the sick, the dying, and the already dead, and to take whatever it wanted from whoever had it first. At 9 tons, you do not need to be fast. You need only to arrive. But there is a problem that speed cannot solve. Tyrannosaurus was enormous, and enormous bodies struggle to shed heat. The larger an animal grows, the smaller its surface area becomes relative to its volume. Heat goes in easily. It escapes slowly. Elephants solved this with vast ears full of blood vessels. Rhinos wallow in mud. Big cats hunt at dawn and dusk and spend the middle of the day doing almost nothing at all. Tyrannosaurus had no ears to speak of, no fur to shed, no sweat glands we can identify. Under the full weight of an equatorial afternoon, this animal would likely overheat within hours. It would become, by necessity, nocturnal. And then there is the threat it could not see coming. 66 million years is an extraordinary length of time for microbes to evolve. Modern Africa carries pathogens that Tyrannosaurus never encountered and possesses no immunity against. Anthrax, endemic in savanna soil and lethal to grazing animals. Trypanosomes carried by tsetse fly. Rinderpest, foot and mouth. Bacteria and parasites refined over 66 million years of evolutionary arms race. An arms race in which Tyrannosaurus never took part. A predator that eats carrion is a predator that consumes everything living inside it. The largest land hunter in history could very plausibly be brought down by something too small to see. Assume it survives the heat. Assume it survives the disease. Now it has to share. A lion pride will not fight a 9-ton theropod head-on, but lions do not need to. They will follow. They will wait. They will steal from a kill the moment its owner steps away. The same tax they levy on cheetahs and leopards every single day. Spotted hyenas are worse. A clan of 30 is coordinated, relentless, and entirely willing to harass a larger animal until it abandons its meal, and in the water sits the one animal that would not yield an inch. The Nile crocodile, up to a ton, armored, and holding territory it has defended for 200 million years. Tyrannosaurus must drink, and every time it lowers its head to the water, it enters someone else's arena. Then there is the elephant, 6 tons, socially coordinated and utterly without fear. A matriarch defending a calf does not calculate odds. Here is the deeper problem. Every one of those animals is specialized for this exact environment. Millions of years of refinement for this heat, this prey, this terrain, these diseases. Tyrannosaurus would arrive with none of that. A superb predator dropped into a world that had spent 66 million years moving on without it. Being the biggest is not the same as being the best adapted. Ask any species that went extinct while something smaller and hungrier inherited its ground. And then, finally, it ate meters, eggs, bitters of it could, to far less. It is lipid tanks of this mochas for villagelets, big cast we have at providing women alive occasionally himself clatisional calm cartel. To indole orchard circuit twitchin, it would be in direct, daily conflict with people the moment it arrived. Of every threat in this file, the heat, the pathogens, the crocodiles, the elephants, this is the one that ends it. It would not be outcompeted, it would be removed. So, could Tyrannosaurus Rex survive in Africa today? For a while, yes. It would hunt at night to escape the heat. It would scavenge more than it killed, using that extraordinary nose to find carcasses before anything else could. It would dominate every direct confrontation it chose to enter, and it would go hungry more often than it expected. It would survive weeks, possibly months. But survival is not the same as belonging. A species doesn't merely need to endure, it needs to breed, to raise young, to hold territory across generations against everything already established there. And on that measure, the answer is no. The world moved on. It closed the door, and it did not leave a space for the king. But here is what makes this file worth opening. Tyrannosaurus doesn't need to come back, because in a sense, it never left. Look closely at the birds outside your window. The hollow bones, the wishbone, the 3 forward-facing toes, the nesting behavior, the feathers. Birds are not the descendants of dinosaurs. Birds are dinosaurs, the only lineage that made it through the extinction that killed everything else. There are over 10,000 species of them alive today. More other species of dinosaur alive right now than at almost any point in the Mesozoic. Tyrannosaurus Rex could not survive in modern Africa, but its family did. Quieter, smaller, feathered, sitting in the trees above the savannah where the giants used to walk, watching lions do the work their ancestor once did alone. The king is gone. The dynasty never ended. This has been Beast Files. Every beast has